There's 3 or 4 of them. You know, why would you do this to me?
Hey, what's going on, everybody? For First We Feast, I'm Sean Evans, and you're watching Hot Ones. It's the show with hot questions and even hotter wings. And today we're joined by Andrew Zimmern. He's a chef, restaurateur, author, and Emmy Award-winning food TV pioneer. You can catch his latest series, Family Dinner with Andrew Zimmern, Sunday nights on Magnolia Network, with Wild Game Kitchen coming later this year to Outdoor Channel. But today, the man who's eaten his way through the world's most remarkable and curious cuisines tries his hand at the Hot Ones gauntlet. Andrew Zimmern, welcome to the show. It's long overdue.
I'm giddy with excitement, and I'm actually being very truthful about that. I've wanted to do this for a long time, so it's great to finally be here with you. I'm assuming starting in the far right, we're right in front of that? Mm-hmm. All right. That's delicious. I'm not just a Hot Ones guest. I'm also a customer. I think I've purchased that one from you guys. Love it, love it, love it.
So when we had Adam Richman on the show, he talked about a picture of you, him, and Anthony Bourdain that was captioned The Gang of Three. And I'm curious, how do you contextualize that era of Travel Channel shows and ultimately the influence that they've had over the years?
Tony's first season had just completed airing when my first season started to roll out. So in what was his second season and my first, we did a crossover episode, which is, to me, one of the greatest 90 minutes of television I've ever participated in. That was the golden age of that network. Regardless of what day of the week that you were tuning in, there were really, really, really immersive travelers taking you into all kinds of really cool places. But I think when Adam talks about that, he talks about 3 big hits, you know, with Tony's show, my show, and Adam's show, Man vs. Food, that for a very small network relative to others on cable was, you know, had 3 big shows going on at the same time that audience responded to. And now, of course, it's Ghost and Paranormal on Travel Channel. It's Turvel, TRVL. They had a vowel movement. It comes up that's balanced. Even if you happen to love garlic, I mean, a lot of that processed stuff that sits there in soybean oil that was chopped 2 years ago and pasteurized, that winds up in a lot of foods because it's less expensive, is the least appealing garlic flavor that I could think of. But that's really wonderful.
So I probably spent almost as much time watching Bizarre Foods on Travel Channel in college as I did at Cam's Happy Hour. Mm-hmm. What's your favorite Bizarre Foods concoction from the Minnesota State Fair?
I'm super boring that way. Cheese curds, a really good foot long and a natural skin that snaps when you bite into it. Best French fries in America are at the French fry booth at the Minnesota State Fair. So I'm a classicist when it comes to State Fair foods. Although I did have this thing called like a cloud roll or a rainbow cloud roll. And what it was rainbow colored cotton candy, and they put sherbet down, rainbow sherbet or rainbow ice cream or rainbow gelato. I've seen it all different ways in the middle. And then they sprinkle it with Fruity Pebbles, and then they roll it up the way they do, you know, those commercial burrito places, that oversized burrito, and you see the person just like stuff it. I mean, they're manhandling that thing to get it big. I mean, they really work it. That's how they do it with the cotton candy, and it compresses it. And I've eaten that, and I thought to myself, I'm going to take one bite and throw it. It's just going to be too sweet. There's no way this is going to be good. But there's something about the cold, quiescently frozen dessert treat in the middle part that gets me every time. I love it.
Just one more bite. Just one more bite.
Yes. You can just feel the number, this one, yes. Clark and Hopkins, Calabria, with sun-dried tomato. All right. Wow, that's good.
So you've always had a crystal ball when it comes to the evolution of how we eat, and I'm fascinated by how food trends actually pick up steam. What are the key contributing factors that cause things like Filipino barbecue or birria tacos to all of a sudden gain all this mainstream attention, even though these things are not exactly new?
Social media. People go absolutely nuts for certain things when they see it. And chefs have been, well, food lovers, geeks like me, you, have been talking about charred pepperoni cups forever, right? I mean, I don't want flat, food service pepperoni that just lays flaccidly on the pizza, bakes, and just kicks off a bunch of, ill-tasting oil. That's not my idea of pepperoni. I want good pepperoni, small, cut thick enough so it curls up in little cups that char, and that flavor is incredible on pizza. But it wasn't until people started posting pictures of that, kids in small towns in the Midwest were like, where's my charred pepperoni cups, right? And I know because I had a small kid in the Midwest who said, where's my pepperoni cups? And eventually, a Neapolitan-style pizza place opened that did it that way, and he loved it, right? And it changed his life forever. But where he first saw it was pictures on websites and on my phone. And I think that's the power that we're forgetting about these days. Cantaloupe, melon, and Scotch bonnet, fantastic. My favorite chili. Not just because it's spicy, but because it has a very unique flavor.
So recently you did a First We Feast episode of Snacked and had something interesting to say about how visiting a supermarket can tell you more about a place than visiting its museums. How do you navigate supermarkets when you travel abroad, and what does a country's snack selection say about its culture?
If you go into another country and you don't spend 20 minutes in a supermarket, I think you're making a mistake. It's like, go to a fucking supermarket. Look at what other people are eating. Look at the prices. You want to understand Reykjavik? You want to understand Iceland? Go into a supermarket and see that carrots are $25 a pound, but lamb is free. Okay? Dried fish, $1 a pound. Broccoli, $24 a bite. I mean, I'm exaggerating to make a point, right? But that tells you all you need to know about what's going on in Iceland and food and how this cycle of food plays in our life. And if you go into a supermarket and you look at what people snack on, you can learn a hell of a lot. All right, Los Calientes.
Los Calientes Rojo is the next one.
Yeah. Why? Do they have a verde or a...
As a matter of fact.
Or do you just like saying rojo?
As a matter of fact, we do. We have a verde, we have a barbacoa.
Oh. That's just delicious. What kind of chilies are in this one?
We got some smoked jalapeno in this one, habanero in this one.
I was just going to say, I love the sweetness, and it's apricot is the third ingredient.
Yeah.
See, that's super smart cooking right there. I would pour this on anything, not drip it. Pour it.
Thank you so much.
Let me ask you a question.
Sure, whatever you want.
Because you probably know this better than most people. What the fuck is it with people that they put a little plastic thing with another hole in it inside every bottle of everything?
Well, here's
not just hot stuff, ketchup, all the rest, but I mean, you're in this world.
So we don't put a stopper on ours, and that includes this one, the Last Dab Apollo. We don't put a stopper on that. But sometimes what I find myself doing is just basically dumping half a bottle because we don't have that stopper on accident. And sometimes I'm like, we need a stopper on this one. We haven't gotten to that point.
Is that the technical term in the bottle business, sauce business, stopper?
This is just the First We Feast way. We just make it up as we go. But I always think with this one, maybe we need a stopper, but the other ones...
Well, I understand it was something sort of... If you can't work your elbow or shoulder, I get it, but everyone else should just, put on their adult pants and...
Let us rock.
Yeah.
All right, Andrew, we have a recurring segment on our show called Explain That Gram, where we do a deep dive on our guest Instagram, pull interesting pictures that need more context. So we'll pull the picture up over here on the monitor.
I was hoping I would escape this.
The bigger story. You can't.
All right.
You can't escape. What is it that you find sacred about disc golf? And then do you have any tips for beginners?
Just grab some friends, go out there and do it. Disc golfers on the course love to share wisdom with other disc golfers. And just like cooking, you can go online and just Google disc golf and forehand, backhand, putting, and give yourself a lesson and carry it with you on your phone and say, is this how I stand? And then, do it. I mean, this is pretty personal, but 30 years ago, I had been a homeless street grifter and addict and alcoholic. And when I'm out there on the course, like cooking, I'm not thinking about my problems and my life and the issues at work and stuff going on in my friends, whatever it is that we obsess about, it leaves, I'm just focused on throwing my backhand the right way. And I look kind of buff in that picture.
Yeah, it's a good looking picture.
That is I look like I have really big arms and I work out. It's about trying new things. And if I had to tell people one thing in their lives, just maybe having lived a few more years than other folks, it's like try new things. It's one of the things I was trying to do with Bizarre Foods, was move people out of their comfort zone. I don't think someone is going to go down to West Virginia and start hammering down squirrel brains. I mean, I get it. You're not going to do that. But maybe if you're down there and someone has, fried squirrel on the menu, you may say, well, sure, I'll try that. And then you go, you know something? That's pretty good. And maybe you'll take a risk then with something else in your life that's maybe even more meaningful than sharing a meal. Oh, all right, that works. That's really good. That fermented bean, that flavor pairs very well with the heat. Whereas sweetened chocolate wouldn't, my opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there. So in recent years, you've done a lot to push Congress on food policy, particularly when it comes to feeding hungry kids and issues involving food waste. What's an issue that never comes up in the debates that people who love and care about food should think about more when they vote locally?
Are we actually in this country voting for keeping children hungry? Because with no national school lunch program that's free for any student that needs it, that food that runs 12 months a year, right, where any child can get a meal, that's beyond criminal. That's genocidal. And it's genocidal because we have the ability to do it. We just don't have the will to do it. We have the money for it. It's actually not that expensive. We can do this. We can statistically eliminate hunger tomorrow in America if we chose to. I think it's vitally important that people understand that climate affects food and our food choices are affecting our climate, right? Food choices for keeping cheap meat has created these, CAFO farms, and all the animal dung that goes up contributes to greenhouse gases, and the runoff from these horrific chemicals that are used on animals and on the ground it gets into our water system and causes havoc further down the food chain in oyster beds, for example, or algae blooms, where all of a sudden fisheries that had been productive for generations are no longer productive because they have algae blooms because of what people are spraying on their lawns. So I think food is something that we need to understand is part of our civic decision making, and that should influence our political choices. Jekyll and Hyde. If someone said, I'm not going to try that because of the name scorpion chili on that, or that it says freakishly hot, they'd be making a mistake.
You enjoyed that one?
Very much so. Can you guess why? I've tipped the hat a couple times on a couple of sauces.
Well, maybe it's because you kind of like the sweetness mixed in with these hot sauces. Yeah.
In other words, if you have something hot and vinegary, to have a sweet component underneath it, or a smoky component, or something else, all great food is made up of contrast. This is just super hot barbecue sauce.
The barbecue sauce from hell. That's how I've described it a couple times during this season. So I've heard you make interesting points about how restaurateurs and purveyors, oftentimes they're selling food at a loss because many people, what they're willing to pay for food, it doesn't exactly translate to the economic food systems that
the biggest issue in restaurant talk that isn't talked about enough.
What do you think is the disconnect between the glamorization of food in the United States and the price people are willing to pay for it?
One of America's greatest restaurateurs and chefs, Tracy Desjardins, she had a restaurant called Jardiniere for 25 years in San Francisco, one of America's 100 best restaurants, any of the 25 years that she was open. She told me a really funny story. She had tried lots of ways to give money to paid sick leave and different things for her employees. And one of the things she did was try to raise prices to where they were actually reflective of what they were. When she opened 25 years ago, her chicken dish was like $19. When she closed, it was like $23. So it had gone up $4. I think that was like, 19% or something like that. But her rent had gone up 4,000%. Her insurance had gone up 6,000%. See where I'm going with this? So if we can't pay the right amount for foods when it comes in the back door to farmers, purveyors, cheesemakers, winemakers, etc., and we can't charge what it is, then the system becomes untenable, too brittle, and it collapses. And I'm very, very worried about our food system because we're not paying the right price for food. We're losing farmers by the thousands and replacing them by the single digits. And it's going to come to a head, right? We've got to start thinking about that.
Well, I'll start thinking about it right now. You ready to move on here? This is the bomb beyond insanity.
Oh my gosh. I don't like it when you make noises like that.
Well, this one never gets any easier. It's a moment I dread all the same.
Yeah, that's hotter than a crack pipe on payday.
By the way,
It's the
chocolate milk on your recommendation. Really hitting right now.
Your staff sends out this little questionnaire. Has 2 questions.
I'm aware, yeah.
What kind of wings do you like? What kind of milk do you like? By the way, that's still growing.
Yeah,
and
it won't
burning.
stop.
And it lacks, to me, it lacks flavor.
Yeah. I think
But
that's
my
a
mouth
fair
is
criticism.
producing so much saliva.
Yeah. It's like your body tries to defend against it or something.
Yeah. That's why you need ice cold chocolate milk. It's been on my training table for years.
Thinking back on your extensive experience, what comes to mind when you think about the spiciest dish that you've ever eaten in your life?
Oh, yeah. Chili's in northern Thailand. Cost like 50 cents from a vendor on the street. There's 3 or 4 of them. Why would you do this to me?
Yeah. Or, why do I do this to myself?
That's true.
That's kind of what's going through my head right now.
So that is this may be the hottest hot sauce I've ever tried.
You and me both.
So tiny, tiny little hot chili in a little village in northern Thailand. But I'm thinking to myself, how hot can it be? The next thing that I remember is them pouring. Apparently I screamed. I mean, I had an out-of-body experience. That to date was still the hottest thing that I've ever put in my mouth.
Well, I'm happy that we could pair that conversation.
By the way, I just swallowed the saliva that my mouth is producing all on its own.
Reintroduce it.
It was really hot. That was hotter than some of these down there. Yeah. Wow. Oh, ghost pepper. Hillbilly mean. Oh. Well, it still is going to cool down whatever's going on right now. Oh. I've been a fan of yours and this show's for a long time.
Until you just had that last wing.
No. I always thought about how much fun it would be to actually doing this with you. But if I'd written down on a piece of paper what I imagined it would be like, I would have undersold myself. This is a blast.
You're having a good time.
Oh, yeah.
As a Midwesterner myself, I really relate to the affection that you
Where are you
have
from?
for Culver's Butter Burgers. I'm from Illinois. Mm-hmm. What makes Culver's everything that In-N-Out is not to you?
In-N-Out, I still think, is the most overrated of all of the fast food hamburgers. I think their burgers are flavorless. I think things like double animal style literally were invented, all those off-the-menu hacks, just to make the burger a little bit better. Their fries are easily the worst fries in the business. Flavorless. I know I'm going to get a lot of letters. I do every time I mention that. But Culver's does not freeze anything, right? There's no frozen, they freeze their ice cream. There's no frozen meat. right? So it's all fresh. Tomatoes come in there and they are cut by someone. Lettuce comes in there whole and it is cut by someone. It's a smash patty of decent beef that comes on a buttered bun. It's not like Solly's in Milwaukee where they put a dollop of whipped butter on it and you get that steakhouse vibe with the melted butter on the crusty burger. Their custard is incredible. Nothing gets saved overnight. It's fresh. It's a continuous feed machine. There's just soft serve coming out of it, but it's custard. It's denser. It's a French custard. Remarkable. Some people don't like crinkle cut fries. I'm not a crinkle cut fry guy, but I like the Culver's fry. It's just good. Right? I'm there for the burger, and it tastes like beef. Eating a double butter burger, a thing of fries, and a 16-ounce concrete, which is what they call their shakes or malts. That's not the healthiest meal in the world. I mean, certainly we shouldn't have. It's a lot of calories, a lot of fats, all the rest of that. We're learning we should be healthier. But if I'm going to do something like that at a place that has a drive-through, it's going to be at a Culver's.
Hey, just keep singing that Culver's gospel, and you know what? Those meals, there's a place for them.
1,000%. I mean, I happen to be a big Shake Shack. I think that's the best one. You pay a little bit more at a Shake Shack, but you get a better quality product. Shake Shack and Culver's, I think, are the best burgers in the fast food biz.
Preach. All right, Andrew Zimmern.
Heat level 10 out of 10. What's an Apollo pepper?
So the guy who made the Carolina Reaper.
Yes.
He's a mad scientist, does lots of the crossbreeding.
Yep.
And he kind of put together, Apollo is one of his Frankenstein creations.
Okay.
Shout out to Smokin' Ed. All right, cheers, Andrew. What a ride.
Fantastic. Literally, I can cross. I have very few items on my bucket list. This was one of them.
Well, I'm happy we could do it.
Good vinegar flavor.
You've traveled the globe and eaten through a cross-section of humanity's experience with food, but I know that you have a comfort that you find in, of all things, gas station pizza. So to close things out, I'm just curious.
Is there I didn't detect any contempt in your voice
over
that.
Listen, we just talked Culver's.
Yeah.
I'm a Midwest guy. I know about gas station pizza, but I'm curious to close things out.
Yeah.
What is your love letter to the heat lamp cooked 99-cent slice?
I'm on the road. I've done nothing but pound down, 14 ounces of, fermented walrus anus in some small little village in Greenland, right? I get in the car. I see in the distance a red light. It's the gas station. I walk in there and I need that nasty pizza where the cheese has melted and hardened and never really melted again, but it's still hot enough to be food safe. And there is something of a warm hug from like your uncle's third wife who wore like really bad grandma perfume, and you're like, you don't really like hugging her at holidays, and you told your parents when you were 7, I really don't like hugging her. But when you do hug her for a brief moment, it's just one more person telling you that they love you. And that's how I feel when I eat gas station pizza. It's like an old friend that tells me they love me.
A nice warm hug from gas station pizza, and look at you, Andrew, putting the wings of death into a bear hug and choking them out today. And now there's nothing left to do but roll out the red carpet for you. This camera, this camera, this camera. Let the people know what you have going on in your life.
Oh my gosh, so many things. One-stop shopping at andrewzimmern.com. Just go to that top drop-down menus. I've got a new Substack thing I'm really proud of. I have a line of spices I developed with Badia that I'm really proud of. Obviously, Magnolia Television, we do Family Dinner, which is a series I just love. I put on my pants one leg at a time, but I'm not sure I know someone who has as much fun as I do.
Hey.
Life is fun.
Great job.
Thank you. Great job to all of you guys. Fantastic. As hot as that was, if it was the only hot sauce out here and I was eating a meal, I'd be doing more of it because it has that vinegar flavor and all the rest. That's what's great about hot sauce that has flavors.
Yeah.
It's like doing drugs. It's like, oh my God, that bong hit was, give me one more.
Exactly.
You know, I mean, you just want one more. This, if I never saw again, because it's got no flavor. But I did really like some of these things in there were just absolutely fantastic.
Well, we're gonna pack them up for you.
Oh, fantastic.
Hey, what's going on, Hot Ones fans? This is Sean Evans checking in with a very exciting announcement. We've read the comments, we've seen the emails, and after 6 years, more than 250 episodes, we can now bring you the full Hot Ones experience in one convenient package. I'm proud to introduce you to Hot Ones Boneless Chicken Bites, available exclusively at Walmart and walmart.com. Each bag of Hot Ones Boneless Chicken Bites is packed with approximately 35 breaded, seasoned white meat chicken bites, as well as individual packets of the classic Los Calientes and the Last Dab Apollo for all your saucing and dabbing needs. The full Hot Ones experience, ready to heat and eat whenever you get the craving to spice things up at home. Hot Ones Boneless Chicken Bites. It's a party in a bag and everyone's invited.